let's take a look at a few examples using FOIL to multiply two binomials together. Okay, starting with, you first want to know that your acronym FOIL, okay, that stands for first, outside, inside, last. Okay, so that acronym just tells you the order in which you multiply your terms together when you're multiplying binomials. Okay, these two are both binomials. They have two terms in them. Okay, and you notice that they'll have a variable term each time and then a constant term as well. Okay, so let's start first by multiplying x plus 7 times x minus 2. And we'll start with our first terms multiplied together. Okay, so the first terms multiplied together are x times x, okay, which gives you x squared. Then you want to multiply your outside terms together. X times negative 2, which results in a negative 2x. Next, we'll multiply our inside terms together. Okay, the inside terms, positive 7 times 1x. Okay, that gives us a positive 7x. And then finally, multiplying your outside two terms, the two constants together, 7 times a negative 2 gives us negative 14. Okay. All right, so just like FOIL has 4 letters in the acronym, okay, then you'll also have 4 terms when you multiply out. Okay. However, we can reduce our product slightly by combining our like terms with our two middle terms, the linear terms. Okay, so in that case, negative 2x plus 7x would give us a positive 5x. Okay, and again, our quadratic term out front, the x squared, and the constant, negative 14, those don't change at all. Okay. All right, and if you notice what you get when you multiply two binomials together, you end up with a quadratic, okay, or a trinomial, three terms. All right, so let's take a look at a second example. Okay, again, we're going to use our FOIL acronym to help us remember the order in which we're multiplying our terms. And we're just going to multiply x minus 4 times x minus 6. Okay, starting with your first terms, the two variable terms, x times x, again, gives us x squared. Okay, then our outside two terms, 1x times a negative 6, that gives us a negative 6x. Okay, when you're multiplying your terms, don't forget that those constants, the negative sign goes with that term to the right, the constant term to the right. Okay. So that negative, your sign is important and determines what your term ultimately is. Let's continue on by multiplying the inside terms together. Negative 4 times 1x would give us a negative 4x. Okay, and then finally, our two constants multiplied together, negative 4 times a negative 6. A negative times a negative gives us a positive, and then 4 times 6 would give us 24. All right, again, we're going to clean up our equation a little bit, or our product a little bit. And that means that we're just combining the two like terms in the center. Okay, negative 6x minus 4x, we get negative 10x. And then again, our quadratic term, the x squared, and the constant term, 24, that did not change. Okay, so that's our result when we multiplied together using FOIL. Our next examples, we're going to look at multiplying binomials. Okay, the same idea using FOIL, but we're going to have slightly more challenging problems with a coefficient in front of our variable term this time. Okay, so let's take a look at example 3. All right, if we used FOIL, we'll start with our first terms again. Okay, this time our variable term, our variable is n, and when we multiply the variable terms together, 3n times n will give us 3n squared. Okay, so if you notice here, when we multiply and one of the terms has a coefficient to begin with, okay, then we can multiply the coefficients together, 3 times 1, which gave us a coefficient of 3. And then we multiply our variable terms together as well, like we did previously. Okay, so in this case, the variable n times n gives you n squared. All right, continuing on with FOIL, we will multiply the outside terms together, 3n times positive 3, okay, which again, multiplying your coefficients, 3 times 3 gives you a positive, and then your variable term here is 1n, okay, or n. So we have a positive 9n as our second term. Then we're multiplying our inside two terms together, positive 2 times 1n, and that gives us a positive 2n. And then finally, multiplying your two constants together, 2 times a positive 3 gives you a positive 6. Okay. So again, if you notice, we have our two middle terms that are like terms, and we'll combine those. 3n squared plus 11n plus 6 is your product. Okay. Finally, let's take a look at one last example. This time, both variable terms have a coefficient of 2. Okay, but we can use that again, that same acronym FOIL to help us multiply our two binomials together. 2n times 2n, 2 times 2 gives us 4 as a coefficient. N times n gives us n squared. Okay, our outside terms, 2n times a positive 1, that gives us a positive 2n. Our inside two terms, a positive 3 times a positive 2n. 3 times 2 gives us a positive 6, n. And then finally, our constants, 3 times a positive 1 gives us a positive 3. Again, we'll combine our like terms. And our trinomial at the very end, 4n squared plus 8n plus 3 is your result.